Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of VCTV, which is the Venture Capital TV, and it's from LATOKEN. My name is Sunny Mohanty. I'm the host and moderator of the episode today. And today we're going to discuss about future of work and education. I have guest speakers from India, Singapore, and Florida, who's going to be joining us soon. So it's a very interesting. I think Gary is here. Let him in. Okay, Gary's here. Great. So yeah, so we have all the speakers, full house. Very interesting topic about future of work and education. Education and work obviously goes hand in hand. This is work is also a very significant part of our lives because without work we obviously human beings can't survive. So yeah, so let's talk about this two aspects which has a lot of significance in our life. Education obviously takes a lot of importance, has a lot of importance in our lives, be it primary education or secondary education or any adult learning, professional education. And then from education, after we graduate, postgraduate or whatever, then we move to start a career like our job and everything. So these two are very important aspect of our lives, but it's going to significantly change.
Yeah.
That's what I read on the article published by WEF Davos. So Davos was held digitally. So once upon a time, I was physically in Davos, attending all the conferences and everything. But this year, I watched Davos digital, which is sitting in Singapore. I was watching Davos, all the conferences digitally and listening to them as well. So it's very interesting times that we're living in. We in 2020 we thought probably this is going to be short term. The COVID pandemic is going to get over, and we go back to the normal. But it doesn't seem like we're still having conferences online. I think in 2021, what I've seen, even not only startups but also enterprises, big companies, tech companies, they have also started following the same steps. They're having conferences online and networking sessions online. So it seems to me that this is going to be the future of our generations to come. So it's a very important topic as well, because if it's going to change the we will our future generations are going to get educated, how we are going to work in future, what kind of skills are needed, reskilling, upskilling. It's very important aspect to discuss today on this topic, on this episode of VCTV. Hence, we have very experienced speakers today who have worked, invested in this space to discuss their experiences and share insights with our audience generally. Before I start introducing my speakers, let me introduce myself. My name is Sunny Mohanty. I'm the regional director of LATOKEN based here in Singapore. And I host VCTV, which is this platform where I connect speakers, and we have startups as well, sometimes pitching on this platform. So I have been digitally connected with everybody in the world, especially the investor community, since over 1 year now. So yes, that's the this is a part of my work, and this is the future of work. And we'll like to hear more from our speakers in details, the technologies which are going to be coming into use to make that possible, and everything else. So today in my panel, I have. I'm going to start with the lady first on my panel, Vandana. Hi, Vandana. Welcome back on VCTV. How are you? Please introduce yourself and we go from there. Thank you.
Yeah. Hi, Sunny, and thank you for having me back here on this panel again. And happy to see Gary, Farhan, Saurabh, and the other gentleman, I forgot his name. I would like to introduce myself. I have been in Singapore and Jakarta for 15 years in investment banking. I had my own family office fund there. This is my 6th year back in India. I did some investments and I went back to advisory. Currently, I'm connected with 200 investors globally. I call myself a global entity because we also pick up global deals from all over the world. In terms of sectors, we are sector agnostic. And we do typically a $1 million to $25 million. And thanks for having me here again, and looking forward to talk on this topic, future of work and education.
Fantastic. Thank you, Vandana, and welcome back on VCTV again. So next I have Abhishek, who's joined my episode, my session for the first time. Abhishek from Vikarin. Yeah, Vikarin. Sorry, I didn't pronounce it correctly. Welcome to VCTV. Abhishek, please introduce yourself. Thank you.
Yeah, so thanks, Sonny, for the invitation, and thanks for all the audience who will be watching this. This is the second time I'm basically attending the session from LATOKEN VCTV. So I'll talk a little bit about myself and the company. So we are a HR advisory firm and creating the HR tech product on the blockchain based technology. Okay, there we are really solving some real time problem which keep on coming in the area of talent acquisition and regarding to the fraud function when it comes to talent acquisition and background verification. I come across with 17 years experience with working with Fortune 500 organization, being at the national levels, uh, and few of the bigger organization to whom I have consulted in their large HR transformation program. So that's about me. Look forward to this session.
Thank you, Abhishek, and welcome. Yes, HR tech is a big part of the topic today. Yeah, thank you so much and welcome. Next, I have Saurav, who I really like the way Saurav has bracketed his name, Saurav, in a set of people, because I understand from Saurav that people were unable to pronounce his name. That's a good way. Nice one. Saurav, welcome back from our ventures. Please help introduce yourself, including your name.
Thank you. So I am Dr. Saurabh Bhatia. I'm based out of Pune, India. I run an investment banking advisory firm, and I'm also associated with our ventures. We typically help using funds for startups, and the range is anything from the friends and family circle range to up to $25 million. And we have about 29 partners overall, and almost about 900 active investors on our list. So typically we receive more than 500 applications from startups every month, to which we drill down to about 5 to 6 new ventures to be funded every month. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Saurav, for that intro, and welcome back to VCTV. So next I have on my screen is Farhan from Meet Ventures. Hi, Farhan, welcome back. Long time. How are you?
Hi, Sunny. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, we
Yeah. Hi.
can. We
Hi.
can.
Yeah. So, yeah. Thank you. Uh, thanks for the invitation. Meet Ventures is a corporate innovation firm. So we focus on the Southeast Asia market, and typically we specialize in accelerator programs for MNCs and governments. In terms of incubation, we do also incubate. And so we focus on education, technology startups, and property technology startups. So I think for this particular segment, I think my experience in the education tech would come into play. And so outside of Meet Ventures, I sit on the committee of the Singapore government's board for applied education. So I'm involved in the uh, I would say the higher education learning decision making, yeah, at the government level. Yeah.
Fantastic, fantastic, Farhan, and welcome back to VCTV. Next, I have Gary. Hi, Gary. How are you today?
Hi, how are you? Good to see everybody here today. I've Vandana, Abhishek, Saurabh, Varhan, and of course Sunny. So my name's Gary Fowler. I'm I'm a serial entrepreneur and investor. I built 17 companies. We are venture builders. 2 unicorns. I was on the original management team at Click Software, sold to Salesforce for $1.35 billion, and also Eva.ai, a premier AI HR tech company that I co-founded 5 years ago. Unbelievable, 5 years ago. But I write a lot too. I just published an article yesterday in Forbes on cognitive cloud computing. My next article is on quantum tunneling and the impact on wireless communications. We build ventures through GSD, Get Shit Done, Venture Studios, premier AI and quantum venture studio, curating companies from all over the world to actually build unicorns. And Sonny, as I said many times, it's interesting. We call them unicorns, but unicorns are mythical creatures. They don't exist. So we're striving to be something that doesn't exist. So what we do is we make them real. We are based in Silicon Valley, and we look for the best AI and quantum companies that truly want to go global. So it's great to be here, and it's great to see all your smiling faces.
Thank you, Gary. Thank you so much for that intro. Great. We all set with the introductions of our speakers, and we're talking about future, our future. Future of work, education is our future. So I'd like to start with Vandana with this question. So how has this pandemic fundamentally changed the education? And what does the future hold? What does the future look like? I mean, globally, it's a global pandemic. It's affected the way we live, the way we work, the way we study. So yeah, let's start with you.
So, Sunny, I mean, the pandemic has changed everything, including work, including education. Everything has become totally digital. Our events, our schooling, even our jobs. So I will give a small example here. In India, when we had the demonetization, we were skeptical to learn how to do the transfer of money via Paytm. And once we, realize that it is important that we have no other way out and we have to use these technologies, now it is so handy that we feel that, it is good that demonetization happened. It taught us a good technology. Similarly, I remember when COVID started, many people didn't know how to use a platform like Zoom. And they were skeptical as to how to use Zoom and AirMeet and all these other platforms. If you remember, the first time we started streams also, we had all kinds of things happening, and now we are so used to this platform as well. So, human mind, it's just the way we, adapt things, and we have to just switch and learn everything around us and be more progressive, I feel. So that is what has happened currently with all the work and education around us. Of course, in online education has impacted the children a lot. But, there are many schools that are doing it in a very organized fashion, wherein the children are actually enjoying the online school and they are able to focus more. Of course, the sports activity have reduced in that manner, but even if you see working mothers, they were having a challenge in, coming back home and cooking, and then, leaving, before leaving home, they had to cook and make all the arrangements. Now, working mothers can sit at home and do the work and, have these kind of facilities are available online. Like we have also connected globally. You are from Singapore, Gary is from Florida. So I feel, we all need to change a bit and adapt this technology. We have seen a lot of AI and machine learning things coming up to help us adapt in our work and our education line. So this is,
thank you, Vandana. So talking about working mother, you brought a topic which probably is a little controversial, as you said, that it has helped you working from home with your children. But what about those working mothers with young children? How they're coping with the pressure? What do you think about them?
See, I feel the mothers, having babies and young children, they were dropping them to creches or, those entire daytime, places where they had to leave their children and go for work. At least now at home, they can manage both. Taking care of the baby as well as the work, and there are other family members that are helping around, I'm sure, who can also take care of the children. So I think, see, humans like to go out, they want to interact, they want to be social. Typically in our line, we can close deals on a breakfast meet or a dinner meet, because that's how it happens here. But there are ways to, like, now I have started going out and I do a lot of meetings as well, but it's not as much as it used to be before. So I think young mothers that have just delivered their babies, etc. It's a good option for them. I mean, they can manage almost everything, and they can have that superpower to do all the things which they were not able to manage before. And look at it. Even groceries we are ordering online most of the time. Like, I do almost all my shopping online, whether it's groceries, whether it's supermarketing. So
Yeah.
it gives me more productive time to do my reading, my writing, and it also gives me a lot of time to finish my work, which I was not able to do earlier. So in cities like Bombay, travel is a lot via the trains. So I think for women out there, it must be really helpful, this kind of environment. And
Yeah.
outings can be done little now, so I think it's everything is manageable.
Yeah, great points. I think the employers and the HR in every company allows the employee with a baby in the lap meetings. That's the new normal, actually. You save a lot of time on
Yeah.
commuting, especially in big cities like Mumbai, and busy cities like probably Jakarta, where you prefer. Yeah, thank you so much, Vandana,
So
for this.
in my
Yeah, go
early
on.
days when I'd come to India, I used to take both my kids for meetings, and I used to give them ice cream, and I used to conduct my meetings. So it was like that. So I think uh, it just
Fantastic.
happens.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Juggling both work and children, family. Thank you, Vandana.
Yeah.
Abhishek, what about your insights about how this pandemic, global pandemic, has fundamentally changed the education, and what's the future looks like?
Okay. So if you can see, we'll just go 1 year back, okay, when this particular global pandemic got started. So if we can look at from the education point of view, definitely this industry have taken a pure play paradigm shift in terms of uh, schooling levels from playgroup, kindergarten to 10 plus 2 kind of education. Okay, then a college education and post graduation education. Everything got changed like anything. Okay, even teachers are adopting a lot of automation tool to give the education to those students. Okay, all kind of online classroom education is promoting in schools. I can't say definitely till 10th level, okay, till secondary level, the education paradigm will be little bit changed when the things get normal. But after when they complete their senior secondary, definitely there'll be lot going to be a change, because there'll be so many out I can say online platform of edutech companies which is already bombarded with skill courses. They have tie up with the foreign universities to provide 3 years 4 years courses in different stream. You talk about engineering, you talk about mbas, you talk about legal, any kind of profession. Okay, uh, in most of the countries, if I take, when bigger companies typically go for a hiring activity, they typically go first with a top pedigree institute. I believe when somebody is already working and take a break to prepare for higher education, okay, so then I believe that will be little bit down in coming times, that particular scenario, because people then go for a online kind of program more. Because if you talk about Harvard, Stanford, most of these institutes already been tied up with some kind of online platform and creating those kind of opportunity. So people don't want to miss that 2 years, 1 year's time to go to a classroom program. Okay, where I can see there'll be a downfall, and the online mode of you can say learning will get increased. Same is with skilling. So somebody need to learn Python or any kind of Node, Angular, any kind of technology. They typically go to campuses or the institute to learn those kind of skills. But you'll see even lot of people in their LinkedIn profile, you see people add their certificate, either they have done it from Coursera, they have done from Upgrad, Vedantu, whatever. Okay, so somehow that business will keep kept on increasing. If I talk about what things will change, definitely it will also increase the job opportunity. So schooling is typically an extended feature which will be coming on. Most of the education is being outsourced, the way I am telling, offline versus online. The school will be act as a learning hubs and learn as you go. So basically the online program will teach you, you will be sitting anywhere in the world. Okay, you are able to learn in some of the platform, and definitely it will create a bigger job aspect for the people. Because when the company go for a pure play education thing, they will also go for a certification program kind of thing. So they consider those kind of skills. And if I talk about this year experience, I have done my overall campus recruitment through a virtual program. We hired around 30 people during basically from tier 1 colleges this year in India, tech plus non-tech, and all are basically through virtually. So definitely lots of cost has been saved during this program, travel cost and other cost, and a lot of things get changed. So definitely it's a good learning
Great
from the
points,
future.
Abhishek. Great points, Abhishek. So, does that mean that the overseas travel for higher education, like especially from India, a lot of people after they complete their maybe bachelor's, they go for masters or for after their school. So that's going to stop because these
That's not
universities.
purely going to stop, but you can see a decline. There'll be maybe 10-20% decline in that particular percentage, but that not going to be stopped. Okay. Somebody
Right.
who understand the you can say value of a classroom program, and somebody able to understand what virtual program will give a benefit. So that's basically definitely we'll see a little decline, not a very high decline.
So, okay, as per you, the universities are not going to come to our screens, but we still have to go. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you so much. Farhan, over to you now.
Yep. Hi. Thank you. So basically, I think in response to your question of the future of education, I think in summary, um, I think e-learning has been quite pervasive, and I think this is something that the speakers have all mentioned. Um, but I think what comes into question is whether or not it will replace the classroom learning entirely will be in question. But I think it seems that students from the lower education, basically those who are coming from maybe elementary school to high school, um, especially those in elementary and nursery and so on, not just them but probably their parents also might still prefer physical classroom learning, probably because for this age group the attention span might be quite limited. Maybe they are in terms of being disciplined uh, to attend class by themselves, their physical energy, their demand for social emotional interaction. I think all this comes into question. So whether or not abolishing physical learning still remains to be seen. But I think what we've realized is when countries come out of lockdown, wherever you come from, the first people who tend to jump for joy are parents, especially those with young children, and the kids themselves, right? And I think in the United States, I think President Joe Biden is arranging that, for teachers to be vaccinated and so on. And I think parents are looking forward to that, maybe for the reasons that I've mentioned. Um, and this is also similar to Singapore. Now, for education of higher education, I think online learning seems to be more better accepted, probably because adults are more adaptable and to online learning. And I think the online education seems to be more possible. But however, feedback from students who are returning to universities is that they still do yearn for to come back to university to learn. So I think probably in the future there might be a mixed uh, learning, especially by universities who have physical campuses. So like for example, what I've realized is those countries that have come out of lockdown, they do like a split shift, right? So 50% on campus, 50% online. um, and again, especially for I think again for this group, at the university level, I think there would still be physical learning. And so if we look at universities that have physical properties, physical presence versus those universities online, for example, like Quantic, right? I would say there will be demand for both, right? But whether or not the physical universities will be replaced, I think it it takes a lot more than just curriculum to make a university. So I think at the end of the day, uh, whether or not to go to a physical university, it encompasses a lot of things beyond curriculum, like co-curricular activities, which may not be able to be done online, networking, relationship building, which can be done online. But I think at the end of the day, even us among adults, while we meet each other on Zoom or platforms like StreamYard, at the end of the day, when we are called to go out for coffee, we feel very happy. I think the physical interaction is something that we like. And also, I think the other thing about university is the experience of in-campus accommodation, because I think that forms a person as well. Yeah, and so on. So I think this I think in summary, the future of education, online learning will continue to be in place, at least for the next 2 years or so. A very ingrained part of education. um, if not part of the curriculum, it definitely will be a very it will be an existential contingency. Yeah.
So does that mean that the cost of education is going to go down? Because obviously, as you know, in Singapore itself, the schools, the
Yep.
private schools, are very expensive. So if they go into a hybrid model, eventually the schools, do you think the cost of education, the higher education, or the secondary education, is going to go down?
Yeah, I think that's an excellent question, Sunny. And I think this has been I think just now you used the word while Vandana was talking, you used the word controversial, right? For working moms. I think this is probably another controversial topic, especially because I think many of us as parents, we pay big bucks for our kids to go to university, and we'll ask ourselves, hey, my kid's in his room or her room studying, and why do I still need to pay so much, right?
Yeah,
But
yeah,
yeah, but I think from what I understand, in many of the in many of the universities, as I've mentioned, I think universities are holding their position. They're holding on to their position since the last 12 months. That you know it's actually beyond curriculum. So I think that, which is why the universities are basically slowly trying to get the students back on campus, at least for a 50% uh, 50% of the time. But I think the other argument by faculty is that they are putting in a lot more effort now to enable classroom learning. because I think the professors would have to prepare on time. They have to prepare the breakout rooms or whatsoever. So I think especially when during the time when they had to face when they had to I would say they had to shift from physical to online learning. There was a lot of materials that they had to prepare. So um, and as I mentioned, it goes beyond curriculum. So I think, and also it goes into question. I mean, at the end of the day, when you provide a person an opportunity to be, for example, to enter one top schools in the US or in India, and versus a online institution, I think there's still quite uh, I would say a preference to go to a university, right? With a brick and mortar kind of setting, probably because of its I would say because of its legacy, because of its alumni, and so on. So I think those are still things that probably support the existence of universities, and I think that's what universities are, maintain the importance of maintaining their price, probably.
Right, right. So this is a question. Thank you, Farhan. This is a question for Gary. With the AI-based learning and AI technology, which promises to obviously replace many frontline workers, so do you think AI going forward, it's going to be a AI-based learning where it's going to probably cut down on 50% of the teachers or the professors in the universities? And because of the blockchain technologies, all the learnings can be traced and tracked. The exams on the blockchain technology is a single source of truth. So if these technologies come into play, and these technologies obviously claim, obviously they're proved their so as to say their importance and their value. So why do we need to pay teachers and professors, because they are highly paid people as well? And also, what's the need of having all that infrastructure but not generating enough revenue if half of the education is online and maybe half is physical? So what do you have to say to that, Gary? Gary, you're on mute.
That's a big question, and I have about 6 of them. So let me take them. So let me look at where we are today. The situation is, how has our life changed in the last year? Well, if I would have taken, I never would have thought a year ago that I would have this mask and go into. I wouldn't have been able to go as a worker into a bank with a mask that would have thrown me in jail. Now the situation is I have to wear them. Our lives have fundamentally shifted. And think about education. What is it about? It's about how to develop a process, a learning process for an individual to help them optimize their learning experience. And so, what does artificial intelligence do? Well, think about it. So, there's different ways. I know myself I took 17 math courses in undergraduate and graduate school, not because I liked it, because it was my worst subject and I just wanted to master it. So, and I learned a special way. So each one of us learns in a different way. Some of us are visual, some of us like rote. We all learn in different kind of ways. So imagine having technologies that can really give us that individual learning experience. So with artificial intelligence, and on the outside of AI, let's just think about Neuralink. At some point in time, what is the brain? The brain is, and I'm a psychologist too, so I'm telling you as a clinical psychologist. So we've got our input, our eyes, and other senses. At the same time, we have storage, right? Essentially the same thing we have with our notebooks in front of us. So imagine having the capabilities to alter those biochemical processes, like Nikola Tesla, right? He had it's called eidetic imagery. He could remember everything. So imagine at the point where we have an entirely different way of learning. We become singular. We have technologies embedded of us, like Neuralink, to be able to help us learn more. And in terms of education, imagine not having to go to Harvard or Stanford or Yale or Westminster or wherever IIT. We just go in and we pay for a module and get it implanted, and all of a sudden we have an MBA from Westminster instantly. So our lives are going to fundamentally change. So where are we today? So I mean, the pandemics gives challenges and great opportunities. Challenges because we can't be face to face in a lot of circumstances because of COVID. On the other side, it's forced the educational system to totally change because in order to operate, they've had to make some fundamental shifts, like going online. And I think somebody, maybe Farhan, no, Abhishek had said about Zoom. I mean, when I was one of the original early Zoom users, people were laughing at me for using. Why would you use that? I would use Skype, but look at it now, for over 400 million daily users. So we've had to adapt. And in terms of work and education, what's it all about? Collaboration. So if I'm online today, how do I collaborate with my fellow classmates? How do I have that same kind of social experience? Because part of going to school is having friends, right? And develop friendships. So how do we do that? And the other thing is gamification. How do we make it fun? Because it's pretty boring being on Zoom, right, all day long for a kid. I mean, they get fidgety anyhow. And then how does a teacher know that they're in their seat? So I saw some technology yesterday that's just coming out that allows you to be able to visualize, and it's used in universities to actually see yourself in the seat in a lecture hall with the professor on stage with your avatar, and the professor can tell because if you move, it sees you move, right? It understands you're not sitting in your place. So those kind of technologies, these technologies, it's like Tron, right? A long time ago was a movie called Tron. You become part of the game, and that's what's happening. And so, the pandemic's not going to be over for another year and a half, 2 years plus. I mean, we can say, and I predicted this at the beginning of this pandemic based on the chart of the Spanish flu. Yes, there's going to be some vaccines that are going to make a difference. Yes, there are new strains of it that are resistant. But I mean, we've had to change, right? Our society, every 100 years, we have this kind of a pandemic, literally almost 100 years. And so we've had to shift. So the impact, my business, so I have an HR tech company, AI and HR tech. My business at the beginning of the pandemic went up 38 times. This year, I'll go from 300 companies to 3,000, right? I mean, explosive growth. Why? Because now we've got work. Look at us here today. We're in India. I'm in the US. You're in Singapore. We're all over the world. A year ago, well, I'm just thinking, a year ago, we probably we weren't doing it on VCTV, and we didn't think about it. We thought about, oh, I'm going to fly. I'll be over in Singapore in 6 months. Let's together for lunch. Now we can do it in an instant. So the beauty is we've really sped up something to be able to change our lives and make course corrections, pivots very, very quickly. So now the adaptation is in terms of going forward, hybrid models. Once the pandemic's over, we will have hybrid models that help us learn better, individualized extensions. I say you're going to have a educational intelligent assistant for each student. That intelligent assistant will be like a mentor. That mentor will tell you what you need to do, when you need to do it, how you need to do it, and basically like a guardian angel to help guide you through all your life and processes. And it's happening very quickly. 2.5 years ago, we developed something like that. And actually, it exists, right? So I communicate with one of them regularly. It's learning right now. It's called Morpheus. And it's private. It's not an open thing. It's something my billionaire partner developed, AI partner. So, but those are the kind of technologies that are going to come out to help us. And again, we're going to singularity. We're going to be part of the process. You understand? We're going to have implants that are going to help us learn better. There's going to be a blurred line between, what a computer is and silicon and what we are, right? It's not too far in the distant future. We're also going to live a lot longer. We're going to live to 150. And, with smart pills, with gene splitting and genomes, understanding, cut out the cancer before it happens, right? So it's a phenomenal opportunity for each and every one of us. We've had to adapt, and each one of us here on the show has had to adapt over the last year to understand this new reality. And it wasn't easy for the first 3 months because we weren't used to not being together, right? But look at us now. Here we are from all corners of the world, right? Many corners of the world on one call, and we do it every day.
Yes.
So this and it's learning. By the way, Sonny, I get so many emails now from
Yeah.
people all over the planet contacting me about
Yeah.
BCTV and
Right.
how much they appreciate it because it's given them hope, right? It's given them a chance to learn. It's distracting and educational, distracting from all the stuff going on and that not good stuff, and gives them a hope and a chance to see the future. So these kind of things, this is education, right? What we're doing right now is the future.
Yes, absolutely, and agreed, Gary. And the guardian angel, I think that's the future of education for children as well. Thank you so much for those insights. Next, I have Saurav, who is also a doctor in psychology. Is that correct? Sorry, did I? Yeah, Saurav. Let's start with you. Sorry. What's your thoughts about how is fundamentally going to change pandemic change the education as per you?
So let's, since everybody has talked a lot about the macro level and the high level picture, let me talk about my education and the micro level picture instead. So my office, it always used to have a white wall behind me. But just about 2 months ago, I called the building concierge and I told him that I want half of the wall painted parrot green. And like he was shocked that who wants a parrot green wall? And I said only half the wall should be parrot green, because now I'm all the time on various, whether it's Zoom or whether it's StreamYard or anything. I'm all the time on some calls. I need a green screen behind me so that I'm able to, put the kind of background that I want to. Don't do it now because I'm working from home today, but that's how. And now anybody who comes to my office, he sees the wall behind me is half green and half white, and they ask me, "Hey, what's this? And why have you got this done?" And then I tell them what's the purpose, and that's the kind of education we are imparting now. Uh, I am building so many new courses now. I am all the time. I'm doing even some live classes sometimes, and of course these kind of the VCTV shows and everything. So now studio kind of settings. I have cardio mic, and I have all this green screen behind me. So all these things are becoming a part of my life, which were earlier a part of probably only a studio or a media professional. So this has come to stay, and this is going to be with us for a while now. So I think that is how at individual level we are getting constantly educated and constantly changed. Now, just one more point regarding the change of education, as Gary has also mentioned. I think I had also mentioned it in some other show, that eventually the examination thing is going to go away, because the students still right now what's happening is the Zoom classes, the Microsoft Teams classes, they have just replaced the analog or the physical version of class. But very soon there is going to be systems in place where the students will be able to interact back with the teacher, not just verbally, but answering the questions and multiple choices or something like that on the go. And this data is going to be recorded. This data is going to be mined for seeing that how much has one particular student, each of them, has understood from the class, how much are they responding to a particular subject. And eventually, this is going to control 80% of their assessment and not the final examination, which happens today. So sooner or later, the students will not have to kind of prepare for examinations, because they are being assessed all the time. There's data supporting their ability in each subject, and that is going to. So it can be scary also, that you are being profiled constantly, and when you apply for a job, it might be accessible to people saying, "Hey, your English was not so good," you know. But then, but then at the same time, this is going to happen.
Wow. Very interesting, because obviously we all have different views on this topic, and very interesting to, obviously we never would have thought that this is going to be the future of education ever before 2020. But yeah, very interesting times we live in, and this is the reality. I think for rest of the year 2021, as Gary says, and probably another year, this is going to be the reality as well. And I think the more quick, faster we accept this reality without looking for the people say that I'm going to go back to the old life I had after the pandemic. It's not going to happen anytime soon. So better get used to it. Talking about that, the psychology effect. I mean, because we have Gary and yourself. So the social interaction, because especially be it education, primary, secondary, higher education, or workplaces, we humans are used to quickly have a catch up on coffee in the canteen, on the pantries, or sometimes where we are like stressed, we go into a meeting room and have a chit chat, kind of those kind of interactions obviously are not happening anymore. Can't happen. That's happening through a digital platform like Zoom, like this. So how is this going to affect us as a human psychology, and how children are going to adapt to this new normal of a new way of education? Because I think India, Vandana was saying, the school just started. Before that, it was all online. So children were home learning, they're learning from home. So how is it going to affect the mental wellness, and what technologies, what are startups doing in the space of wellness, as to make sure that when everybody is remote working, we're equally taking care of our health, our mental well-being, holistically, to be able to perform well. Saurav, you can take that, and I come to Gary and then Farhan.
Sure. So I had mentioned this before that let me start with a book by Alan Pease. About 30, 40 years back, Alan Pease had published a book called Body Language, in which he had underlined the importance of eye contact, the way you stand, the way you sit in front of somebody, and the way your body stance changes in reaction to the conversation. All these are non-verbal cues which we get when we interact personally with the other person, and sometimes you can make out that the other person is lying, but you can't make out why do you think he is lying. That's because of the non-verbal cue. That's the instinctive feedback that your body is giving you. All these things are going to be missing during the rearing years of these children if this pandemic goes on for more than whatever it is. So I seriously suspect that the children who are going to be affected by this absence of interpersonal conversation and social interaction, they are going to have a lopsided understanding of this if this pandemic is prolonged very for a protracted period, and it doesn't allow them to interact with each other. So this is going to be not so good from that perspective. And the second part, as you said, depression or mental health. Now, there was an experiment done long back, by one of the kings. This is taught to us in the history of medicine, that this king decided that a child doesn't need to be soothed all the time, and he or she can be left just by feeding and left alone in the crib. And so he made 100 kids not to be touched, and 100 kids will be given the regular massages and everything that's done to the newborns. The hundreds who were not touched, they eventually died, all of them. And this experiment kind of proved the human need for touch and a constant interaction. Now that we are interacting only with the family and not interacting outside, I mean, the kind of hug movements that were there in America in between, that take a free hug on the street and all. So all these touch things, we do need that. That's a part of our psyche and a part of our well-being. Now,
Yeah.
all that being taken away from this pandemic, this is definitely going to impact negatively on the both social structure as well as personal well-being.
Yeah, great points. Thank you, Saurabh. Gary, so what about those children who were born in 2020 and 2021, or maybe 5 years before? So for them, it's like a digital world with no human interaction, even with their age group of children. So how are they going to evolve? Like Saurabh said, the 100 children died because of no physical, no interaction.
That's the Harry Harlow studies kind of thing. And I remember meeting Carl Rogers, by the way, so down in La Jolla, California, many years ago when I was in graduate school. But I mean, we adapt. I mean, humans are resilient. So with my daughter, she's 24 years old. She works for IBM, and she communicates electronically. I mean, seriously, a lot of her relationships are, dealing with her friends all over the world, and it's not unusual for her. It's what we are used to and accustomed to. I mean, we happen to be used to something that's entirely different. So part of it is getting accustomed to the new reality. And quite frankly, I mean, I think it's wonderful. Think about it. We can talk to anybody, anywhere, at any time. It was impossible. We couldn't dream. We can take VR and AR, and I can be sitting here and I can be in Kenya looking at giraffes, right? And I can do it instantly. When I was a kid, we looked at pictures in books, and this is what a giraffe looks like. Or we would watch a video, right? A film. And that was the best thing that would happen. But think about how enriched lives are today. You can be anywhere. And in terms of, just so I can tell you directly with my company, which is a $1 billion company today called EVA, YVA.ai. We went through this. We actually do sentiment analysis. When we look through communications, we can tell if somebody's going to leave a company up to a year before they think about it, right? We say 6 months, but it's really a year because there's certain cues that take place, et cetera. Why is it important? Because if you have remote employees around the world, imagine as a CEO, trying to figure out what's going on with them. Why? Because you do reviews once a year. So what happens for the other, 364 days? It's like, it's insane. So we need to be able to understand in a moment's notice, real time, what's happening. So if an employee, is not feeling well, mentally not feeling well, or there's challenges with customers or other employees, we can help correct. And I got to tell you, based on, we invented this stuff, as a co-founder, this situation is where the future of work is going to be and education, because we can understand what's happening with that employee at any one time. We do pulse surveys and also analyze communications. And employees like it because it helps them understand where they need to go. We gamify it to make it interesting. So let's say, who's the most active today is sending emails out. And I know it's a simple thing, but you'd be surprised how much it changes behavior. It can go up anywhere from 12 to 15% increase in productivity. Just because you talk about it, people want to compete and they start to get into it. Who's going to get the little trophy today? So, the future work is that. I mean, we haven't done a really good job. You're an IBM or a Siemens or a Mahindra. How in the world do you know what's happening with your employees all over the world? So why not understand in a dashboard setting where I can say, here's what's happening. I can look at clusters. I can look at sentiments. If there's something happen, I need to be aware of, a flag comes up, and we correct the problem, the issue, before it becomes a problem. That's where it is. The same thing with education, right? We need to go down through what it's about. I mean, it's kind of archaic that we test students once a year to figure out where they are. We should be testing them like every single moment to figure out how to course correct. So if you had I remember when I was in 7th or 8th grade, I didn't like math. And it wasn't that I didn't like it, but I wanted to have it explained a different way. I looked at math totally differently from everybody else. And I could figure out the problems in my head, and I got pissed off when the teacher would tell me, oh, you can't do it like that. But I said, but I understand. I did it in my head. And these are massive problems. I would solve them in my head. I said, well, this is how I did it. And I would write down my way. It was different, but it worked. And it wasn't until I got into undergraduate and graduate school where I started getting nurtured, and then I started to love it. So what I'm saying is we learn differently. Why not nurture those ways that people learn to be able to help them change? And that's where artificial intelligence is coming in, and quantum computers. Wait till it happens. It's going to be an intersection between those two incredible technologies that are going to be massively changing everything. And it's already happened now with AI. I mean, it's already, here we are, right? StreamYard is it.
Yeah. Absolutely, StreamYard, no Zoom anymore. But yes, correct, Gary. Thank you so much. So talking about resiliency, talking about being creative, adaptability. So we don't get to learn all these things, these skills in school, So these something. So do you think, Farhan, my next question, and then Abhishek, I'm going to come to you from a HR perspective. So do you think these should be a part of a curriculum in terms of education, how to be resilient, how to face any pandemic of any sort, any nature? Because this is the time, was a testing time, not only for, forget about children, even for us, it was a big change and big adjustment, and a lot of things happened in 2020, a lot of deaths, suicides, and everything. So I think we have learned a lesson that how to be resilient is something that needs to be a part of the education. That's what I feel, because our future, they probably are focusing more on our maths, how to solve a sum, as opposed to how to be more resilient in life. So what do you think about that?
Yeah. Thanks, Sunny. So yeah, I think thanks for giving me a very difficult question. um, yeah, I think
I'm so
resilience.
sorry.
It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she wanted to throw the curveball to you, Farhan. She figured out, let's talk about resiliency.
Yeah. Okay. So it's a tough one. I think, yeah, so I think when we come to generation, to every generation, so probably like now we have Gen Z, previously was Gen Y, Gen X, right? And we have the baby boomers, and so on. I think every generation would be accused of being lesser and lesser resilient, right?
Yeah,
So of course, yeah, so of course those who were born in the 60s, and their parents before them had
mm,
tougher lives, right?
yeah,
So I think yeah, so because I think resources were scarce, less, etc., etc. So I think, if you talk about resilience, I think as we go on from Gen Y, and then going on to today, the Gen Zs, who are probably in their teens and 20s, they are often accused of being the strawberry generation, the YouTube generation, and even think today they'll call them the digital generation, and so on. So so I think, in terms of resilience, that is something very hard to teach. um Personally, I feel, you create a person through circumstances, and that's where, I would say, leaders are born, entrepreneurs are made, and so on. And when we see the best people who come out are basically those who, have either bring challenges to themselves, so they find the problems, not the problems find them,
yeah,
or the other groups of people who problems come to them and they have managed to survive, and this becomes the best people. So I think, whether or not, schools are able to prepare the students for, I think generally, even in Singapore, for example, we talk about total defense. Military defense is one of our core pillars, psychological defense, and so on. We have, I think increasingly we are also incorporating other types of defenses, which is important, and resilience is definitely one of them, to prepare for things like the pandemic, so that people are able to, cope. So I think, probably the topic of the pandemic and all the challenges that we face would be, yeah, again, like I said, it's very hard to teach this in schools, but I think the least that we can do is to remind people through, maybe a particular course, right? And maybe through co-curricular activities or so on. Yep.
yeah.
It's
Great.
difficult.
Yeah, brought up that the Singapore story is, I mean, thing that we have the military thing, which is very good. I mean, preparing for the uncertain times. I mean, you never know what's going to happen anytime. So this, I mean, pandemic, was an uncertain time, and we never know how many pandemics are going to come. We don't know, but we have to be prepared for it. Like our children, our workforce, I think governments, everybody should be prepared for another uncertainty of that sort. That's what my advice to be all the viewers today. Be ready for any uncertain times. To be honest.
Hey, Sonny, do you remember a movie called Forrest Gump? Do you guys remember that movie?
Yeah.
A box of chocolates, you just never know what you're going to get. Life,
Yeah,
a box of chocolates, you just never know what you're going to get.
movies are coming into life now, Gary. It's becoming a part of our.
Yeah, exactly. I guess I need a new pair of sneakers.
Yeah, that's correct. Fantastic. Okay, come Abhishek. How to build
Yeah.
a sustainable workforce? Like now that we are all working from home and with your children around, all of around us, like Saurabh was saying or somebody was saying, Vandana just left. Working mothers, even the working fathers, you have children around, you have household work to do as well. So how the employer can be very, how the employer mentality changes towards the employees, like, to be more empathetic, and how build sustainable workforce for the future to come. So what does HR, how obviously HR has to play an important role in that, right? So what can you share? We're just conscious of the time, 9 p.m. Then we take closing remarks
Uh,
after that. Thank you.
Okay, I'll not take more than 90 seconds to finish it up. Okay, so a lot of things got changed typically in last 1 year time. When we talk about HR is more known for their empathetic and sympathetic behavior towards the employee and build the system and build the culture for the organization. Okay, when this particular thing happened, pandemic, even HR is also able to learn during that time ki how initially most of the companies or most of the employers are mostly focusing on work versus work, and then things coming picture what we can do over work versus life. Okay, so to you can say distract the monotony in terms of the everyday life. Okay, because they definitely need to manage the basic household, meeting the deadlines when it comes to either software sales, any kind of professional or people into the teaching, those kind of things. So a lot of tools is being launched during that time. There'll be communication which will be more often. Okay, during that particular time of pandemic. Okay, uh, communication between the layered people in terms of the people from the top hierarchy is also speaking with the people and lower in the hierarchy. Okay, and want to understand the overall sentiments in terms of what exactly they need. Okay, because every organization is cautious in terms of nothing is going to be happen during this kind of pandemic. That's of you can see around 70% of companies have already announced WFH till July 21. Post July 21 we can see if some will again come back to office and see that kind of physical environment what we used to see before March 2020. Okay, but lot of you can say career coaching happen, physical mental coaching happen during that time from the HR or other leaders or from the top people. The work will also not impacted and their well-being is also not impacted during that time. So that is the key, the communication, and typically give a breather in terms of work versus work-life balance. That's the thing important. Okay, and right now people are also used to of these particular thing because they don't have to attend the office at 9:30, 10, 11. They can start from at 7 also, 12 also. They just need to attend the huddles whatever is being planned during the office time. Those are the things. But right now because of that point of view, most of the companies are also reached out to the NGOs, like bigger companies who have a manpower of more than a lakh or 50,000 people. They reached out to NGO ki if any employee have any kind of mental or any kind of those kind of issue, they can directly reach out to them to get the solution. Okay, those kind of things. So a lot of these kind of partnership happened. Lot of startup or can say comes under the umbrella of HR tech only, comes into the employee engagement cycle and multiple those kind of program which will give a insight on cultural building, cultural insight, communication management, all these things. So that's the thing.
Great, thank you. Talking about non-profit, I wanted to touch upon that subject as well, but we don't have the time. Sort of, so closing remarks: how to create green jobs for future, and what are the green jobs? With the closing remarks before we wrap up the show.
My dream job would be not having to go to the office, work from home, and get a lot of money.
Oh, okay,
I
all
mean,
right.
it's really when you're starting off in any kind of job, usually having a boss who's hovering around doing a micromanagement is usually not a good idea. And eventually we also grow and become micromanagers with our juniors or our team members. So that kind of culture can actually improve when you don't have somebody hovering around you all the time and is actually measuring you only on your performance, only on what deliverables you are delivering, instead of constantly monitoring how many loo breaks you take or how many coffee breaks do you take.
That has become irrelevant. So I
Yes.
asked green jobs, but you said your dream job, and I know what's your dream job.
Okay, I heard dream jobs was.
Thank you so much. It's okay, Saurabh. Thank you so much.
Thank
Farhan,
you.
how to build a green economy, which includes green jobs? Green.
Oh wow! Again, Sunny, you're offloading these big questions, and I only have like 30 seconds, right?
Go for it.
Yeah. I think in this short span of time, I probably will say in order to have green jobs, we probably got to start. I mean, assuming that we all keep our jobs. I mean, the jobs stay the same. I think it starts with the place that we work. So either it being in the office or at home, I think we have to explore. So the people are the same, but the place where we work have to be greener. So I think that's probably how we can start. So maybe with less use of electricity, using
Mm,
renewable energy in the office,
mm,
less paper, more digital. And I think we're already doing that, right? Especially with
yeah,
in this time of pandemic, in
yeah,
payment, cashless, etc. So I think it starts at the workplace, and then we will then escalate to the jobs and the roles itself. Yep.
yeah. Thank you so much. Vertical farming. I have got plants in my room as well to get a green vibe. Gary, over
Yeah,
to you.
so, I mean, a lot of it has been education. We've seen the impact that the pandemic has had, as I've said several times. With the first time we've been able to see the Himalaya mountains in the last 30 years. So education's part of it, and we understand our vulnerabilities. One of the things that's happened during this pandemic, and we understand how fragile things really are. Here we have quantum computers and artificial intelligence, but we can't get a roll of toilet paper. So we've really had to shift our mentality, and I believe in a real really interesting way we've developed a lot more compassion, but because we've seen the vulnerabilities. And in terms of green, it's just about it's a lot of it's about education. We made a lot of progress with the circular economy, understanding that our population's currently at about 8 billion, went up to 13. How do we be able to optimize farming to get more food out? How do we make the waters cleaner? And the impact of climate, the increase in temperature is going to have on all of us. So the good news is education started, and we do understand our vulnerabilities, and we have taken steps forward. So I'm bullish about that. It's not easy, but we got to start by it's just like recycling, right?
Yeah,
I don't know about you, but sometimes I don't know which bin to put the plastic in because there's 4 kinds of different plastic if you look at the serial numbers. So part of it is making it, as we say, keep it simple, stupid. Let's make it easy for people to recycle, and people would do it. Or when I was a kid, you used to get glass bottles, and you would get 5 cents back if you took the bottle in. Well, every kid wanted to get those bottles to be able to get their money. So there's other ways to incentivize people.
perfect. Thank you so much. We are over time, but it was a very good panel. I hope everybody enjoyed it, and I know Saurav's dream job as well. So there was a funny part, and all the movies coming into life, reality. That's also a fun part. Gary, thank you so much. Thank you, Abhishek, for joining me for the first time on my show, and Farhan again joining me back again. So yeah, I'll be back tomorrow. Tomorrow is Friday. Yes, I'll be back tomorrow on another topic with another set of speakers. Till then, keep watching VCTV and take care of yourself and be happy. Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye bye.